Stay tuned for Airgun Detectives.
Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. Today we're going to take the mystery out of the Gamo Magnum. Before we get started, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, hit the little bell if you'd like to be notified of new videos, and in addition to that, we appreciate your feedback. Thumbs up are always terrific. So with that, we get that business out of the way. Let's talk about our Gamo Magnum. Now this is the older brother on the single shot version of the Gamo Swarm. The Swarm came out afterwards. Basically the same gun mechanically, except the Swarm obviously has a 10-round magazine. This is a single shot version. In fact, I got one of the very first ones that came out, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the gun comes with a synthetic stock, and it's not a bad stock. It also comes with their recoil reducing rail. I'm not overly a huge fan of that. It does not come with this scope, and obviously does not come with the Bullseye ZR scope mount. It actually comes with a halfway decent scope. This is Gamo's 3x9x40, and this one actually does have an adjustable objective. So this one actually comes with a pretty good scope. It's not bad. And then it comes obviously with the scope mount as well. It also comes with the fiber optic sights. You've got green in the back, and then you've got your little red here in the front, and they're actually pretty good fiber optic sights. It's got a nice trigger. It's got their C.A.T, their custom action trigger, which is very adjustable. It's supposed to be about 3.2 pounds adjustable out of the box. This gun, however, does not have any type of suppressor or barrel shroud. There's nothing on there. This is just your blued barrel. So when you're cocking this, you're actually grabbing the steel barrel in cocking that. The cocking effort on this, they claim 40 pounds. I beg to differ. I think it's in the higher 40s. But anyway, that's our Gamo. This is our Gamo Magnum. The overall gun weighs about 6.8 pounds, so it's not overly a heavy gun. It's made in Spain, and they're claiming you can get about 26 foot-pounds of energy on it out of their 21-inch barrel there. So let's actually run it through the test and see how it performs, and then we'll talk about it. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, we got our Gamo Magnum here. Now let's see what type of feet per second we get. We're going to be shooting the 14.66 grain field target trophies. Those seem to be the most accurate. If you remember my other video with the Magnum Swarm, we shot the same pellets in that. So let's see what type of feet per second we get. Shot number 1. 930. All right. Shot number 2. 933. Shot number 3. 925. Shot number 4. 921. And let's finish this off with shot number 5. 927. All right, that's our Gamo Magnum. Some pretty good foot-pounds of energy. It looks like it's getting exactly what the manufacturer said it would. So let's move on to the next segment. We have our Gamo Magnum here. We're going to take 5 shots and see how what type of grouping we can get, see how our accuracy is. We're about 20 yards out. We're going to be shooting the H&N field target trophies. They're 14.66 grain. And let's see how well they do. We'll just take 5 shots. Alrighty. Hopefully we can get on paper here. There's one. This thing is powerful. This seems to have a quite a bit more. Now that pellet went in there a little more snug than the first one did, so that can make a difference as far as accuracy goes. All right, that's 2. This is 3. Okay, and we got 4. Yeah, this gun seems to have a little bit more recoil than the Swarm, and I don't know why. Maybe it has to do with the configuration of the stock. There's 4. And let's do 1 more. Yeah, and I bet this is close to a 50-pound cocking effort on this gun. Notice I keep my hand on the barrel because you never want to take a chance of that thing snapping back up. You can damage the barrel, you can hurt yourself. There we go. Looks like 3 of them went through the same hole. Anyway, this is our Gamo Magnum. Not bad for accuracy. And not to mention when you're combining that with your foot-pounds of energy, we're doing pretty good. Let's move on to the next segment. So let's test out our trigger here on our Gamo Magnum. Remember, this is the C.A.T trigger, their custom action trigger, so you have an adjustable first and second stage. Now, on this trigger, I did actually go ahead and replace the trigger screw, it's behind the trigger there, with the M 2.5 by 45 by 10 millimeter. Some people like a little shorter screw, the 8 millimeter, keeps them from over adjusting this, because you could turn this actually into a hair trigger. And you really want to be careful, especially on the Magnum, because this has a much larger piston in it. So when you cock it, it has a lot more pressure on the sear. So this is much easier to make it a hair trigger. So you want to find that happy medium. So again, I'm going to emphasize, if you're not really comfortable in working on air guns, or if you're not a professional, don't change that screw. If you are, then you got to do it at your own risk, but just be very careful on that, because you don't want a hair trigger. So let's see what type of weight that we have this thing set for. We've got our little Lyman trigger gauge here. Hopefully this will work. And let's see where we're at as far as the trigger goes. Okay, that's 2 pounds 11 ounces, so we're under 3 pounds. And honestly, you wouldn't want this trigger much lighter, because I said the piston on this is much bigger than your standard Gamo, so you got a lot more pressure on this here. So let's move on to the next segment. As I always say, my favorite part of the review is the plinking. We're going to be shooting at our usual 40 yards out that we like to do with the rifles. Let me show you that distance. As you can see from where we're sitting, we're going to shoot all the way up to there where those small targets are. And then bring it back here. So we're going to we're going to shoot as the 14.66 grain field target trophies. So we're going to shoot those at 40 yards. Got 5 targets up there. We're going to see how well we can do. A little bit of a breeze today, not too bad. And but I never shoot as well on camera for some reason. I think it's like the whole Murphy's Law. So we'll start from the right side and we'll work our way left. Let's see what we can do here with our Gamo Magnum. All right. This one does hit with authority. You can definitely tell it's got that 27 plus foot-pounds of energy going out there. But that doesn't do you any good unless it's accurate. So, and there's 2. Now those targets are designed for rim fire and center fire from a distance. Those are solid steel. Can we get that little teeny egg? That's a tough shot from there, actually. And we did. Actually, we got a 2-for-1 on that one. It happens sometimes that lead just splatters when it hits those hard targets. And the other thing I have to say is, I've never really liked diet soda. I never have. So guess what? It makes a really good target. And that's our Gamo Magnum. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Let's wrap up our Gamo Magnum with our conclusion here. So we have our Gamo 22. You saw how well it performed. It actually did quite well. Before we get into the positives, let's get into the negatives. The negatives with this gun, I would tell you, number one is no shroud on the barrel. It's a steel barrel. It's a little uncomfortable when you're cocking 40 plus pounds, and I think this gun is closer to like a 45-pound cocking effort, if not even a little bit more. So I'd say that the fact that there's no shroud on this, that's a negative. The Swarm, Gamo Magnum Swarm, much nicer to cock with the suppressor on the end of it. Number two, this stock is not nearly as nice, in my opinion, as the Gamo Swarm. The Gamo Swarm Magnum has a higher cheek rest. It just seems to be a little bit more comfortable. The other part, as you know, I don't like the recoil reducing rail. I don't think it works. I've destroyed several scopes on these. And this is my second Gamo Magnum. The first one I had, I got it when they were very first released. And unfortunately, I came out to shoot it one day, and it was still a heavy cocking effort, but just no velocity. I happen to believe the seal went on it. But rather than messing with it, it was still under warranty. I sent it into Gamo, and they actually sent me a whole new gun. And what was really good about this one is it groups much better than the first one that I had. So those are the negatives. Let's talk a little bit about the positives. The positives. This is a decent scope it comes with. It actually is. It's the adjustable objective, and it's actually a pretty clear scope. How long it will last with the recoil reducing rail, I don't know. That's why I upgraded to the bullseye, and I also upgraded the scope too. Number two, what's really good is the trigger. The C.A.T trigger is excellent, and it's very easy to upgrade this by putting a new screw in. It's the screw that goes behind the trigger. I replaced the stock screw with a little bit longer one. It was an M2.5 by 45 by 10. Now there's some guys that like to put an 8 in because that way you don't over screw it, because in other words, if you screwed the screw in too far, you put too much pressure on the sear. The gun might not even cock at that point, and if you do that, the gun doesn't cock. All you do is you back the screw out, because all it's doing is it's engaging the sear. So with that, you just want the screw just to put a little bit more pressure. So this is roughly out of the box about a 3.5 pound trigger pull. And you got to remember, this is their Mach-1. This is the bigger piston, so it puts a lot more pressure on the sear. So you got to be really careful when you're tuning this trigger. I set mine at about 2 pounds 11 ounces, and I really didn't want to go any lighter than that because there's so much pressure on the sear with this bigger piston. I didn't want to make a chance of having this a hair trigger or having this go off before you really want it to. But right now it's actually really comfortable at 2.11 ounces. So again, if you want to put that screw in, that's at your own risk. I wouldn't do it unless you're really comfortable with these guns or you have a professional do it for you. As far as performance goes, now they're claiming 1,300 feet per second with an alloy pellet. We shot actually a 14.66 grain lead pellet, and we averaged 926 feet per second. Now you say, oh, well, that's much lower than what they're claiming. However, initially they were claiming that this gun gets 26 foot-pounds of energy. We got more than that. We got just under 28 foot-pounds of energy with that pellet, averaging, like I said, 926 feet per second with a 14.66 grain pellet. Accuracy, you saw what we were getting. Roughly a half-inch group at 20 yards. And then we went all the way out to 40 yards, and you saw we were having no problems hitting the smaller targets when we were doing our plinking session. So, other than that, it's a pretty neat package. Now, I know you guys are going to say, if I had the choice, I personally would go with the Swarm because it's got a 10-round magazine. I like the stock better on the Swarm, and I like the fact that it has a shroud and a compensator, which makes a difference on the front of this as far as cocking goes. So me, I would personally pick the Swarm over this model. However, based on the performance and based on what it is, because you are getting almost 28 foot-pounds of energy, I'm going to have to give this gun 4 stars. It's getting 4 stars because it is quite a powerful and accurate gun. It does come with obviously a little better scope than the Swarm comes with, but hey, I like the fact of having a 10-shot magazine. That's just my honest opinion. But if you're into the single shot type of gun and you want some power, this isn't bad. That's why I said 4 stars. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of the Airgun Detectives. This is where we take the mystery out of the airgun. And until next time.